Alright fellas, here we are back on Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we're going to be getting the rerun for Sygna Suit Steven and Deoxys for Pokemon Masters Day. Now, people are saying that he's replacing like the Master Fair rerun for the month. Yeah and no. I mean, he is dropping on Pokemon Masters Day as bait, and he's getting his EX roll, but really, Lily and Lucamine are technically the kind of quote-unquote replacements or whatever for the Pokemon Masters Day Master Fair rerun, but whatever, I digress, it's not really important. Sygna Suit Steven is getting his rerun, his first ever rerun, period, outside of the Mixed Scout and I guess the free ticket scouts, right? First ever dedicated rerun to where you have a good probability of pulling him. He's never been on a select, he's never been on anything like that, just the Mixed Scout and the free ticket scouts, and that is it, or the free ticket scout that's currently available, right, with all Poke Fairs. All that stuff. Oh, actually, no, yeah, wait, he's been on the Poke Fair, I'm an idiot, New Year's Poke Fair Tech Select, oops. Other than that, alright, he's never had a free rerun ever since it was released back right before the 3rd anniversary, so it's been a very, very long time. Finally getting his first ever free rerun right before the 4.5 anniversary, so congrats Steven, and Steven fans, you can rejoice. Big thing with Steven here is that he is the first rerun Poke Fair to be getting a EX roll. He's getting the support EX roll, which is an amazing buff. It is this, I would say it's probably the single best buff he could have gotten given what he does. He is so worthwhile to sync with. It's an amazing buff. You cannot stress that enough, right? And I'll go over why. So again, he is getting his rerun. It's a normal banner, 3,000 gems for a multi, 300 gems for a single, 100 pay gems for a daily. No rewards, surprisingly. I thought he would have gotten like EX roll cakes, or coins rather, as the reward, you know, since every new Poke Fair character we get, you get 4 coins for pulling each copy of the character. I figured they would have done something similar with Steven here, but they didn't because I guess he's a rerun character, but whatever, right? So, very generic Poke Fair banner, 2% pull rates. Very valuable character, too. This guy is able to do so much, and he's definitely Master Fair material. Like, he is Master Fair material inside of a Poke Fair, 100%. He is extremely good, he's extremely strong. I would argue he is the most valuable pickup of the entire month, but of course, also consider the anniversary is coming, so you've got to be careful. You've got to be cautious if you are going for Steven, right? You got to really weigh your odds and your gems and whatnot. And Steven is going to be leaving on the 10th of March, so you do have only pretty much 2 weeks to pull for this guy. So you've really got to, I guess, be quick in your judgment. But of course, he will be available for the entire duration of the anniversary. Pretty much the entire duration of the anniversary for the most part, right? Anniversary tends to quote-unquote end its main stuff and whatnot in about the middle of March and whatnot, so yeah, I guess. But whatever, either way, so Steven, he is going to be rerunning. He is a very good character, and I've got some stuff pulled up, I guess, to kind of prove that. So yeah, anyway, he is going to begin the support X roll, as we said, but let's go over Steven's base kit first, right? So the way Steven works is that you'll start out with normal form Deoxys with these stats. These stats are not very important at all because you will be changing them turn 1. He's got 4 different ways to change his form from Deoxys normal to stay normal, or you can go to attack, defense, or speed form, whichever you choose. Try this. This is how he turns into normal form Deoxys. It'll turn the field of play into psychic terrain, raise all of his stats besides physical attack by 2, and it will replace some of the moves and some of the passives. That's basic stuff for all of them. So going into normal form Deoxys, he'll get Psycho Boost, which is a 3 gauge, because he does have fuel economy. Generally, Psycho Boost is a 4 gauge move, but for Deoxys normal form, it does have fuel economy, which reduces gauge. So it's 3 gauge move here. It lowers his special attack by 2, but he also has downside up, which inverses stat lowers. So you'll be able to raise your special attack by using this instead, which of course is good. Recover, which is a 1 gauge move, 2 uses, heals 50% HP, and then Zen Headbutt, which is a 1 gauge move with a 20% chance to flinch, boosted by 40% by aggravation, so it's a 60% chance to flinch with this 1 gauge move. Definitely good for sure, akin to like Astonish, right? And then Cosmic Power, which raises his defenses by 1, and then he's got his innate Sync move, which is Space Rock Psycho Boost, which is powered up the more his stats are raised. Other than that, that's what this normal form Deoxys has to offer, plus, of course, the entire grid, right? Which we'll go over in a bit. But honestly, I'd say normal form Deoxys is... I don't know if it's the most useless version of Deoxys, but it's definitely not catered to probably a lot of different battles, but mostly it's useful from the Gauntlet. He's able to buff his defenses, which, if we're going to be honest, they're pretty low. These defensive stats for Deoxys are very low. 196 is not great with the EX, about 760 health. 264 special attack and attack is very low. 376 speed is good. But outside of that, these stats suck. Support does help that a bit with the EX roll because it does buff them up and, of course, give you more health, but I don't think it's really all that sufficient. But do consider he's got two 50% recovers in him, which is great. And of course, I think you can get Master Healer in the grid for recover, so you've got extra heals there. You also have NPR. You've got Cosmic Power to buff defenses up to +6. You've got Zen Headbutt for a 60% flinch chance. People have done, obviously, solos with Steven here, right? Like, we can pull up the stuff, right? Legendary, Arena, solos and whatnot. We can pull that up here. I'll let that load, and we can see Steven getting some good solos in, right? So he's able to use Zen Headbutt for the flinches, Psycho Boost for damage, but really I would say that Zen Headbutt is probably what you're mostly focusing on, right? So if you look up Steven, I don't remember, yeah, Steven Sygna suit, yeah, he's got a ton of solos, 11 solos in him. The only one he's unable to solo are Moltres, because no one can, and seemingly Uxie and Tornadus, right? So he's able to do these at different move levels here, mostly 3-star, right? 3-star EX for the most part, but still, definitely very, very good for sure. And we can go ahead and look at Registeel here and look for Sygna Suit Steven, right? Steven Sygna Suit, able to use many recover NPRs, flinches with Zen Headbutt, hope for no para flinches. See, you just spam flinch pretty much with normal form and you're able to get a lot of solos. That's kind of how normal form Deoxys works. Outside of that, I would say that normal form Deoxys is not good. Except for like legendary gauntlet solos, because other than that the other forms just do better. He sets Psychic Terrain, but you cannot set it by a sync move, and it only sets for the entry turn, right? Once you use Steven's turn move, it will turn the field into Psychic Terrain and transform him into normal form Deoxys, or I guess keep him in normal form Deoxys, right? And of course Psychic Terrain will not be extended. It will not be able to be set again by Steven, so the Psychic Terrain for the most part is essentially useless in my opinion. So this I don't know why they opted to add it, but he does get stat buffs as well, which is good. That's normal form. Attack form Deoxys is by far probably his most popular form because it does outlandish levels of damage. 528 in both offenses, but do consider it does sacrifice the defenses to 137, which is extremely poor defenses. He dies to like a paper cut for the most part, right? 376 speed, of course, still very good. But obviously, due to his lower defenses, he does make up for it more than enough in the offensive stats. Psycho Boost, 4-gauge move, 200 power, lower special attack, but again, this form does have downside up, so special attack is actually raised instead. He's got Protect, which applies damage guard. He still has Zen Headbutt for a 20% flinch chance, but he does not have Aggravation this time, so you'd only have a 20% flinch chance. You do not have any raised heightened chances. And Cosmic Power, again, for buffing defenses. Most of these moves tend to stay the same here, with some slight alterations. And then in the grid here, the passive skills, again, we have downside up, and we have Power Combo 2, which has a 30% chance to increase physical and special moves next by 1 when the move is successful. Don't worry about the physical moves next, just use the special moves next, because Psycho Boost will be doing a ton of good damage for sure, with the combination of the special moves next, and plus, obviously, all good psychic partners, right? Like Anniversary May being another Hoenn unit you can run with him if you want to do that. Neo Champion Rose is amazing, right? New Year's Wallace is decent as a partner, etc. And of course, you could probably run him with like Archie, yeah, I guess Archie for the Hoenn Master passive. So either way, yeah. And also, the biggest ability, Expand Sync. This turns his Sync move AoE without having a Striker EX roll, without being a Striker, because he is a tech unit. Do keep that in mind. This just makes the Sync move AoE unconditionally. You do not need to be EX for the Sync move to be AoE. It will just be AoE for fun. And do again, consider, he has an innate multiplier. So this is not a Striker Sync move where it's just 300 power, no buff, nothing like that. He has a Tech Sync nuke boosted by Tech EX with an innate multiplier of Rising Tide. And it will be easy, that's extremely easy to activate, right? And obviously I failed to mention this at the start, but he does also have Pinpoint Entry and Entry Freebie on the normal form when he debuts in battle. So he's got accuracy buffs as well as free moves next at the start of battle. And when he uses the attack form switch, it will raise his special attack by 6, his crit by 3, and change into attack form. So very strong ability, right? Very strong stuff. Sorry, let's go to attack form. Yeah. So he's got a Psycho Boost, which is doing 200 raw damage, 220 at 3 out of 5, right? Sync Nuke with 330 power, an innate multiplier, and it's AoE. Being AoE is by far the biggest thing here. And again, And again, he's got Support EX now, which is not only increasing his very horrible defenses, and I've seen people cope a little bit saying that this is, like, not going to keep him from being blown away by a Stiff Breeze. It's not. He's still going to get blown away by a Stiff Breeze, but that's not the function of the Support EX roll for the attack form. The function of the Support EX for the attack form is to make it so once you use this AoE sync move, which is going to be hitting for good damage, quite good damage rather, not like absurd, but still quite damn good, he's going to be getting a Support EX buff from it as well, which is just going to be increasing your Psycho Boosts and other, like, Zen Headbutt, I guess, by a ton of damage, of course, and obviously that applies to your partners as well, right? If we want to go ahead and we want to look at Steven here, because I pulled this up, obviously this damage list, tier list, can be taken and interpreted however you want to. You could say it's reliable, you can say it's unreliable. Obviously, there's, you know, some things to be said about that and whatnot, but that's not the point of this. If we want to look at Sygna Suit Steven in attack form, we can go ahead and look down here for just 3 out of 5, 6-star EX level 140 regular move investment. He is already the hardest hitting Psychic Sync pair with his Psycho Boost at 1.3 million damage. Raw damage, of course, right? Which you can see compared to other characters like Ash's Thunderbolt and all these crazy buddy moves, he is still able to keep up in, like, what, top 20-ish? Like 30, okay, so about top 35, give or take, right? Top 35 for a pretty much spammable move for the most part, especially of a character that is, again, like a year and a half old at this point. Definitely very good stuff. And once you do the maximized damage, you know, 5 out of 5, 6-star EX, level 150, this does consider his 5 out of 5 grid with mind games and whatnot. Steven is buffed even higher, and of course it does also factor in Support EX roll, all that stuff. He is going even higher to be, what, again, top 15 damage dealers? Like, that is pretty insane, right? But again, do consider all the stuff that is going into this, right? Like, there could be a lot of unrealistic scenarios. Not really sure. Sync move, Steven's sync move is not, like, absolutely crazy or anything like that, but 4.5 million damage is still definitely not bad. But again, this is also not factoring in the Support EX roll, which is then boosting Steven a lot. He's getting the Support EX roll out of this, which buffs his damage, and of course the 5-star grid with mind games and whatnot to make his damage look even more insane. Steven is by far the best psychic character in the game, no contest, and is definitely a very good damage dealer in the attack form, no less. Support EX roll only serves to expand that by giving him the extra sync buff on using his already quite strong AoE sync move, right? So that's very, very good. So the Support EX is going to be helping his Psycho Boost. It's going to make him a very, very strong damage dealer. Moving on from the attack form, we have the defense form, which of course you would expect to be extremely tanky, right? It is extremely tanky. Attack, speed, and special attack are horrible, speed especially. That speed sucks. But the defenses are absurdly good, 100%. Before we go into that, though, we do have the Defend trainer move here, which raises the attack and special attack of all allies by 4, applies damage guard to the user, and changes into the defense form. So do consider he is able to buff ally offenses by 4 on entry, and of course apply the damage guard next effect to himself. So he's able to get some good defensive bulk for himself and buff ally offenses in that one quick burst. Other than that, it's got pretty much the same stuff: Iron Defense, Zen Headbutt, Recover, and Psycho Boost. You're never going to use Psycho Boost. This character is not going to do damage. If you need to use a DPS move, use Zen Headbutt for that flinch chance. Albeit 20% is quite low, but still, it's better than wasting Gauge with Psycho Boost, because you're not doing damage anyway. Recover for the heals, of course, obviously extremely good, right? You want your tank to have consistent healing, and that's what he has. Iron Defense, which raises defense by 2, but he's also got Stat Share 9 and Team Mind Bracing plus Infliction. Or Mind Bracing Infliction plus 9, which raises special defense of allies by 2 when the user's Pokemon uses a status move. So anytime you use Iron Headbutt... Iron Headbutt... okay. I mixed Zen Headbutt and Iron Head. Oh, sure, whatever. Iron Defense or Recover, you'll be able to raise special defense of all allies by 2. So not only are you raising defenses of allies, but you're also raising special defense. You're making them extremely bulky in both defensive fronts. And then Stat Share 9, which of course, I mean, we expected it, right? This will buff ally stats instead of just his own. So buffing ally attack and special attack by 4 on entry, and then of course buffing ally defenses essentially infinitely anytime you use Iron Defense, and special defense for anytime you use Iron Defense or Recover, which is very good. And of course, Recover just heals him. Defense form is very bulky for sure. Support EX roll functions to be even better because it adds like plus 80 in the defenses because of how Steven's form changing works. It's like a percentage base, so the buff from Support EX is actually further strengthening his defenses a lot, but also consider it is lowering the attack form's defensive gain a lot. So like 137, it goes to 165 instead of plus 40 defense. That's like what, plus 28 or something. So do consider that it does mitigate growth in other areas, but for the defense form, defense gets extremely bulky. So defense form is definitely good for being a tank, a wall, essentially. I do not think it is Steven's second best form. I think speed form is Steven's second best form. This form is absurd. At normal form, whenever you use the faster trainer move, which changes into speed form, it reduces sync countdown by 2, raises his speed by 6, raises his evasion by 3, and changes into speed form until the end of battle, which is very, very good. Because the best thing about this guy is that even at base, his stats are not bad. 200, pretty much 264/254 across the board in all stats, and then 601 speed. Very fast unit. Maybe the fastest unit in the game. Someone could beat him out for sure. I don't know, but he's up there for sure in the speed, right? So I don't think that needs to be disputed too much. But he replaces all of his moves other than Psycho Boost. He gets, of course, Zen Headbutt and Recover, so you've got the healing, you got the 20% flinch, but you've got Double Team now instead of Cosmic Power / Iron Defense, where you're able to buff your own evasion, and you could potentially max out his evasion, right? In the passive skills, he gets Downside Up, Afflictor's Fervor, which reduces sync countdown by 2 the first time the user's Pokemon uses a status move each battle, and then Catalytic Infliction, which charges Gauge, or applies Move Gauge Acceleration the first time the user's Pokemon uses a status move. So you're getting a lot of sync countdown with the guy. That is the biggest goal of the speed form here, is to give sync countdown and evasion tank. You can use him as an evasion tank, and also, of course, 20% chance to flinch, even better, right, for a tank, even though it's not reliable. You can buff your evasion, rely on relatively okay defensive stats, and just use evasion to try and hope that you're able to take hits relatively well, right? Support EX helps this a lot because it buffs his defenses by plus 51. No, plus 52. So you actually get over 300 in the defenses with the support EX roll, meaning that the speed form for Deoxys becomes an actually viable tank with evasion hacks, 20% chance to flinch, 2 abilities to recover here with the, well, 1 ability to recover twice, rather, with the use of Recover here, and it's able to do -4 in total sync countdown from the entry, as well as Afflictor's Fervor here, and again, apply very, very good gauge management with Catalytic Infliction, and it's already extremely good speed stat. So, Speed Form Deoxys, in my opinion, is actually the second best form of Deoxys. Maybe third if you want to count normal form solos in the Legendary Gauntlet as being extremely valuable. You could obviously argue that, but just in general, I really like the speed form. The sync ramping is amazing, and the tanking ability in at least smaller battles or shorter battles is definitely extremely good in my opinion. So I do like his ability to tank here as speed form Deoxys, especially with that EX roll. 300 defenses is quite insane. 800 attack. Like, it's not defensive form with its level of bulk, right? But still, that's definitely good for a character that's mostly going to be trying to dodge attacks. So, very, very good stuff. And that's all the forms of Deoxys. Took a while to go through them, but obviously for sum up, normal form is good for like flinch spamming, as well as having overall decent stat distribution, I guess, for like Legendary Gauntlet Souls and whatnot. That's its main goal. And of course, gauge management with fuel economy. Attack form is a godly level damage dealer with Psycho Boost and its Sync Nuke, and again, Support EX roll to further add Support EX to its Sync move, so you can then also, well, I guess try and tank better, but mostly to get that second Sync buff on using Steven's Sync move, so a Psycho Boost will be doing even more oppressive damage. Defense form, obviously, with godly level bulk stats, for sure, with its great defensive capability with Iron Defense and Special Defense buffing, great healing, as well as being able to buff attack and special attack by 4, and then Speed form with its -4 Sync countdown total, Zen Headbutt for 20% chance to flinch, recover, and then evasion tanking as well, with actually decent defensive stats in case, you know, your evasion were to fail, right? So Steven's able to be definitely the most versatile unit in the game. I mean, you can't argue that. Obviously, that's inherent, though, by being a Deoxys, right? Deoxys with all of its different forms, but still, doesn't mean he's not amazing. So looking at the grid, 1 out of 5, Steven only gets Sync Move power-up, some Gauge Refresh, and that's pretty much it. 2 out of 5, he gets 3 more Sync power-ups, 2 more Sync power-ups. He gets Pep Rally on Double Team, which is extremely good for the speed form. So now not only are you being good with your gauge management, by being extremely fast, but you also have the gauge acceleration, and now you're able to also buff ally speed, right? So gauge efficiency for the speed form is extremely good. Morale boost 9, raising the user's special attack by 2 when his trainer uses a move. Mostly useless, but I mean, you could make utilization of it in the normal form or the speed form here, but do consider they all have downside up. So really, I don't see why you would ever want to do this, because this is only for himself, so he's able to easily buff special attack, no real problem by using Psycho Boost. I wouldn't worry about it. Double team move gauge refresh 9, combine that with Pep Rally, and you've got yourself a speed form Deoxys that is utilizing 0 gauge and also buffing your team's speed, which is just extremely good, unconditionally. Recover move gauge refresh, quick cure for restoring status changes, move gauge refresh 2 unconditionally no matter what move you use. Very good again if you want to use like Psycho Boost or something on this attack form or whatever form of Deoxys, so you can make sure that your gauge isn't being too obliterated, right? So it's not too bad. By the way, not really anything crazy. Obviously the craziest, or the best stuff, rather, that he gains from the 2 out of 5 grid is probably Pep Rally and the 3 sync nodes. Because the 3 sync nodes on the attack form, like, look, 390 base power sync move, Rising Tide in a multiplier, and it's AoE. It's pretty good. Like, obviously it's not like an absurd nuke, but considering the fact that this guy is just basically a striker with this level of damage, it's pretty absurd, in my opinion. 3 out of 5, this is obviously where he gets most of his good stuff. Critical odds plus 9, raising crit by 2 when the trainer uses a move. This is only really good for forms that are not attack and really defense either. Pretty much just good for normal and speed form, to where you can actually start landing crits on your Psycho Boosts and whatnot, so you can actually try using them for damage as well as their other utility-based purposes. So that's not bad, but generally if you're going to be wanting to use wanting to do damage with this guy, or with these forms, you're going to be wanting to just go for attack form. So I wouldn't really pick this up. Another sync node, of course, because why not? Furious Brain, which just makes the attack form even stronger. Absolutely insane damage. 30% multiplier onto a unit that already maxes out its special attack on entry, and literally can pretty much not have its special attack debuff, because it will buff it right back with its downside up boosted Psycho Boost, right? So Furious Brain is pretty much always going to be activated pretty much from the get-go, so Steven is not going to be struggling at all to be able to have this activated and get this free 30% power boost to its already, 528 special attack boosted Psycho Boost. Very good stuff. Other than that, Soften Up 1 for easier crits on the sync move, not really too crazy, I would say. Psycho Boost BOGO, this is decent if you do need that gauge management, especially again on the attack form, but really, again, probably nothing too crazy necessary. Here's a grid, by the way, if you want to go for like max attack form Deoxys, I guess. Sure, why not? You don't need the accuracy buff, because he does buff accuracy by 1 on entry, so it's not that crazy. Move gauge refresh 2, again, as we've gone over all that. Morale boost 9, and then Iron okay, this is where he gets Recover, Master Healer, and then Iron Defense move gauge refresh. Defense form is extremely slow, so having gauge refresh on Iron Defense in some capacity, as well as move gauge refresh 2 here, is going to be quite useful if you are utilizing the defense form, because again, slow as dog piss, and having absolutely no way of doing gauge management outside of these gauge refreshes. So you do want that gauge refresh probably, and of course the Master Healer on Recover, just to restore even more health. And of course the Recover Master Healer is even probably more useful on speed form, where you've actually got Recover, right? So you can actually heal up in case, your evasion fails, your flinch fails, or, your defensive stats aren't enough to hold up to the enemy's, damage. And of course, good for normal form as well, for those legendary gauntlet solos and all that, right? And again, NPR on Recover as well, so you can actually get even more heals. Very good stuff. Very, very good healer, of course, and I guess hit taker. So that is all the crap that this guy gets out of his 3 out of 5 grid. All of it is trying to cater mostly to his different forms, different utilization, and they do pretty well in my opinion. Like, he does have enough sync nodes to do a ton of damage, plus the Furious Brain for his Psycho Boost attack form. He does obviously get the good healing and gauge refresh abilities, and Pep Rally and whatnot for his speed and defenses form. Pep Rally, gauge refresh, Master Healer, NPR, gauge refresh 2, good stuff for his speed, defense, and normal forms. And then I guess critical odds and morale boost here in case you want to try and do damage with any of those non-attack forms, right? And he also does get disarm. I did fail to notice that. I think this was recently added? Maybe, I don't know. No, actually no, I think it was already in his grade. Whatever. 2 out of 5, I think. No, 3 out of 5 gets disarm here, which lowers enemy attack and special attack when attacking an enemy that is flinched, confused, or trapped. How does he do that again? How does he Oh yeah, because no shit, Zen Headbutt, right? So he's able to debuff attack. This is most useful in the normal form, right, where you have that 60% chance to flinch. You flinch the enemy and then spam Zen Headbutt again to debuff their offenses, so they do even less damage to you than they normally would, right? Which just makes the normal form just so good for Gauntlet solos with its good recovery, good defensive buffing, turn denial with the flinching, and debuffing of offenses, right? So again, this guy's grid has so much in order to actually cater to its different forms. Just so much. Depends on what you want to run, right? If you want to run full offense, then of course, like something like this is probably going to be your go-to. Something like this. You could obviously change out a little bit, and the grid is a little wonky, clearly. You could probably go for like Psycho Boost, Gauge Refresh if you really wanted to. So there you go. Maybe something like that. Nah, that's better. Yeah, something like that, if you want to go for like Gauge Refresh and whatnot. And then, of course, you could also potentially just trade around and go for Soften Up if you want to guarantee that crit, whatever it may be. But let's go ahead and go to the 4 to 5 grid. Let me get rid of all this. Okay. 4 to 5 grid, he does get, what does he get? Yeah, Piercing Gaze and Vigilance. Vigilance for the defense and probably speed form mostly. Actually, just the normal form as well. Preventing stray crits and whatnot. Very good, so you can run a different lucky skill. Obviously, probably one of the biggest benefiters directly of the Lucky Skill update, so you can run, Crit Strike 2, Mind Games potentially, Vigilance, Head Start 1, Adrenaline 1, that type of stuff, so you don't really have to worry too much about Deoxys's different forms being not the best benefiters of the different Lucky Skills that you could put on him, so, obviously something like Head Start 1 or Adrenaline 1 the most universal as a lucky skill, but obviously if you want to do damage, you may want Critical Strike 2. If you want to do Sync Acceleration, you maybe want Head Start 1. If you want to tank, you may want Healthy Healing or Vigilance, whatever. So this does at least give you Vigilance here as an option in the grid, so you don't have to worry about that much as a lucky skill, right, which is good. Then Piercing Gaze, moves never miss. Again, I don't think that's really too useful because he does buff his accuracy by 1 on entry, which pretty much makes all of his moves guaranteed to hit anyway, so not the greatest thing, but of course if enemies do debuff accuracy, then that is something, right, to consider. 5 to 5, he gets Head Start 1 and Mind Games 9. Amazing abilities. Head Start 1 is extremely good for pretty much any form of Deoxys, but mostly the speed form, so you can get even more sync countdown, right? -2 here from the Afflictor Fervor, as well as having those -2 sync countdown from the use of Faster here. Even more sync countdown is always going to be extremely good. No, no debate in that, right? And then Mind Games 9, extremely good specifically for the offensive form of Deoxys. As you can see here, I think, yeah, in this grid here, for the offensive form of Deoxys, they actually do utilize Mind Games 9 to maximize his damage in this tier list here. So Mind Games 9 is clearly very impactful, meaning you don't have to bring something like a special defense, debuffing character, or whatever. You can just use Deoxys specifically, and not only will it be doing good damage already with its Psycho Boosts and whatnot, it will obviously be able to then debuff special defense by itself without having to rely on any other ally. You could utilize other characters to a lot better effect, which is extremely good. So Mind Games, definitely a very good pickup. Head Start 1 as well. Definitely not a bad overall grid expansion for sure. At least I wouldn't say so. I'd say it's quite good. But yeah, that's mostly it for Deoxys. 3 to 5 is definitely obviously the most open, the most widely available, I guess, move level option, so you should probably try and prioritize that if you do really want to maximize this character. But of course, going for 5 out of 5 for Mind Games and Head Start 1 is still extremely good, so do keep that in mind. But overall, the Support EX role is such a massive buff to this character, most notably the attack and defensive forms, to where a defense form, of course, did want that extra sync buff and whatnot in order to be able to actually be like a Support EX support character. But again, it's even better on the attack form here, where you're able to get that extra sync buff when using the sync move, which is already going to be doing really solid damage, and then getting the extra sync buff for your Psycho Boost to do even better damage. It's just amazing, right? I'm definitely going to be Support EX rolling him tomorrow when he releases. I'll be doing a showcase for him, probably just at 1 out of 5. I'm not going to candy him. Not yet, anyway. I don't think I need to make this character that crazy, because he's already really good at 1 out of 5. I don't think I need to make him any better than that. But yeah, let me know what you all think about Sygna Steven and Deoxys, of course, down in the comments below. Let me know if you are going to be giving him his EX roll, if you're going to be candying him to, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, whatever it may be. Let me know if you still think he holds up, which I don't know, I'd say I gave some relatively decent evidence that suggests that he has. I'm very excited to be able to utilize the speed form specifically with the support EX buff on its sync move, as well as obviously being able to use these 300 defensive stats in order to actually do some tanking and have some sync acceleration along with it. So that's going to be pretty fun in my opinion. But yeah, I'll see you all later. I hope you all enjoy. Good luck if you're summoning for Sygna Suit Steven and Deoxys tomorrow. Good luck if you are going to be saving and potentially summoning for him later after the data mine. We'll see. And yeah, I'll see you all later.